Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Anthony. So we're back with a brand new video. I'm going to show you guys how to use a session store. So if you don't know what a session store is, basically it's used to store your sessions in your database. Okay, the reason why you would want to consider doing this is because, well, first of all, let's say if I were to restart my server, right? We're logged in right now. Whoops. And so if I were to restart my server, and if I refresh, you can see it's going to log us out, right? If I log in again, and if I authorize, right, we're logged in, right, the server's still on, the application's still on, but if I restart again, and if I refresh the page, we're logged out, and you're probably wondering, well, what in the world is going on? Basically, when we authorize ourselves, our session, right, remember, the session is the unique ID that keeps track of the user state, okay, because HTTP itself, when you visit a website, it is stateless. So websites use cookies to maintain your state, so they can easily tell, they can keep track of what's in your shopping cart, what you recently ordered, and a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, and most of the time they want to save those cookies, those session data, onto the server. Okay, you should never save anything sensitive on the cookie on the browser side. You always want to save it on the server side for the session. Okay, so if we wanted to maintain our session, we wanted to make sure that our user is logged in for a certain amount of time, we want to make sure we're saving our sessions to the database. So we're going to go ahead and use something called connect-mongo. So it's literally very easy to integrate. All you have to do is just install connect-mongo. So we're going to go in here, just do npm I connect-mongo, and it should install it as a dependency. Okay, there we go. So let's just, before we even run our application, let's go into app.js, and we can look at the documentation too. You can read all about it. You can see that, all right, so you obviously need to make sure you have express session, which we already have already. And then you want to require connect-mongo, and you can pass in the session object. So we're going to do that. So we're going to put this right up here. Const mongo store equals require connect-mongo. We're going to pass in the session variable inside of there. So that basically registers the session with the Mongo store. Okay, and then we can create a new instance of that Mongo store. But we want to actually pass in our existing Mongoose connection. So this is actually pretty awesome. You can use this with Mongoose, or you can just use it with MongoDB itself. It seems like, yeah, you can create a new connection from a MongoDB connection string. So if you're not using Mongoose, which for some reason, if you're not using Mongoose, I don't know why, because, the whole tutorial we've been using Mongoose, so you should be using Mongoose. But if for some reason you're not using Mongoose, then the documentation is over here and you can just take a look at it. Okay, but since we are using Mongoose, we're going to reuse our existing connection. So our connection is right over here, const.db, that's our Mongoose connection. So we're going to go inside session, and we're going to go ahead and specify a store. Okay, and we're going to do new Mongo store, and we're going to pass in the options that we need. So options, let's see, what kind of options can we pass in? We probably don't need to do anything crazy, because by default what will happen is when we save our sessions to the database, it's going to go ahead and just store it in a table called sessions. But you could probably specify the custom name of the table. And there's a bunch of stuff too. You can say, hey, look, when should the session expire? When the session cookie has an expiration date, connect-mongo use it. Or we can create our own, remove expired sessions. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here that you can, opt into. Okay. But if you don't really understand sessions too much, I highly recommend you understand sessions and cookies, understand the differences, because those two things are very important when it comes to building web applications. If you don't understand sessions and cookies, you need to make sure you understand it, because they are very crucial to building out applications. Once you understand it, though, I promise you, everything becomes much more crystal clear. Okay, so I think we could just leave this alone. We don't need to pass in any options. We're just going to pass in the Mongoose connection. So we're going to do Mongoose connection, just pass in DB. Okay, that's our Mongoose instance from our database right over here. Okay, All right, and then we're going to go ahead and set the resave property to false. So this has to do with our session store. You can also read all about resave and save initialize too. Again, they're all has to do with the session. Anyways, so yeah, so now let's go into our MongoDB database. So if I do show tables in our database, you're going to see we only have one table. But in just a sec, when we run our application, what's going on? DB once is not a function, huh? Let's see, const mongoose equals require mongoose. That's weird. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess DB itself is a promise, so that makes sense. So we're gonna do mongoose.connection. I think this itself, since we were connected already, this should be fine. Okay, so we saved. Okay. So now let's go ahead and try this out. So if I refresh, we are logged out. Okay, because the server logged us out. We haven't stored our session in the database yet. But I authorize. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go over here, show tables. Okay, so now you see we have a new table called sessions. If I go db.sessions.find.pretty, you can see right over here that we have the session ID. We have when it expires, so it expires in 1 day. This is UTC time string. Okay, so you can see it's 2020, April 9th, and then 11:48, 15 seconds. Again, it's UTC, which is literally approximately around this time. Okay, and you can see we have this cookie right over here, and it has all of our information. Like, it literally has all the information. It has the cookie, it has the original max age, when it expires, HTTP only path, passport, and it has the passport property here too. And right now this is in a stringified JSON format, so pretty much underneath the hood, it's going to take the session, it's going to parse it to JSON, and we're going to basically find the correct session for us, and then it's going to restore the session for us. Okay, so now watch this. If I restart my server, and I refresh, see how I'm still logged in, right? See how I'm still logged in? Because the session store, our session is basically going to go inside the session store, and it's going to look for our session ID, and it's going to restore everything that we need. Okay, and see how cool that is? That is pretty cool. So now, if we need to make changes to our server, or if we need to ever restart our server for whatever reason, for maintenance, all of our users will stay logged in because they are signed in, or because their session is stored in the database now. But now here's the thing. Let's say if I want to destroy user session, I could just find their ID, but I'm just going to do a db.sessions.drop. And now if I refresh, see how I'm logged out? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So now if I log back in, if I authorize myself and I refresh, we're still there. And you can see that we have a new session, and it has a new expiration date. And it has pretty cool, pretty new ID as well. Pretty cool. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much for this video. So this is one way that you can maintain the user's login, so that you don't always have to constantly, have them log in over and over again. If I log out, if I refresh, right, I'm now logged out. If I try to go to dashboard, it's not going to let me go because we're logged out. Okay, and if I restart the server, right, our session is not there because we logged out, we destroyed the session. Okay, so if I log back in, there we go, just like that. And let me just restart the server again, once more. And there we go. So that's pretty much it for this video. Very simple solution to keeping the user logged in. And I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.